Hello everyone, this is Matt from Real World Review, and today we're going to replace the screen on the Samsung A13 5G. This should be similar to the A13 4G, but this is for just the 5G version. We're also going to be replacing just the screen, not the frame, but I do recommend replacing it with the frame to make it a little bit easier and a little bit safer. But the tools that you're going to need are going to be a PH000 bit, a razor blade, plastic pick, and some heat. You'll also need some glue and some clamps if you're not doing it with the frame. So the first thing you want to do is remove the SIM card tray and power off the phone if you're able to. Next, what you're going to do is use a plastic pick to get in between the frame and remove that back piece, making sure to be careful around the fingerprint scanner, but ultimately you want to loosen up the top, left, and right side, and then it kind of just lifts up on the bottom like this and over to the side. There is a cable attached to the fingerprint scanner to the logic board, so you have to be careful and remove this little metal piece right here. I recommend using tweezers so it doesn't fly away like it did just now. And then you can use a plastic pick to remove that fingerprint scanner. Set that back panel to the side and grab the PH000 bit and start removing the screws you see on the top. And then we can also do that for the bottom as well. Next, you want to remove this little plastic piece. I recommend starting at the bottom and then loosening up the corners. Same thing with the top piece, starting with the top though, and then loosening up the sides. Once we have those removed, we can unplug the battery and unplug the screen and unplug this little charging port piece on the charging port board. Since we're changing just the screen only, we're going to grab a heat gun and we're going to start heating up the screen. And once we get a decent amount of heat, we're going to use a razor blade to kind of lift up the glass like this from the frame and carefully try to get a pick under the display. If you start seeing different filters, you have not gone under the display. You want to go under this little metal white piece. But ultimately, you want to use a pick to kind of cut through the adhesive that the screen is holding it in place. If there are a bunch of cracks, you want to be very careful, obviously not to get that in your eye, but also to add a little bit of heat because it's not going to just lift off as easily as a solid piece. But ultimately, you want to loosen up the adhesive and then the cable should just kind of feed through and the screen should lift off like this. With the screen off, we want to clean up the adhesive and clean up all the glass that is around the screen. So very carefully go through and remove this little black adhesive that's on here, as well as all the glue that is left on there. Then you want to clean up that area, make sure there's no glass in there because you don't want that under the screen and you don't want that breaking your screen especially. But once everything looks clean, what we can do is we can feed this cable through the back and then feed the charging port cable as well. Plug that into the charging port, plug that screen cable into the board, plug in the battery, and then plug in the power button and power on the phone to test to make sure that that screen is working. And it looks like the screen is working, so what we can do is disassemble it again, unplug the power button, unplug the battery, and then we want to unplug both cables for the screen and lift it off the frame. Next, what we're going to do is grab the glue so we can add some adhesive around the frame. You want to go all the way around the frame and obviously go light on the top and be careful around the front camera, though the camera's not really that good anyway. But once you get glue all around the edges, we want to feed the screen through like this. We want to plug in that bottom charging port, and then we want to plug in the screen display as well. Next, we can plug in the battery, put this little plastic piece on there, and put all the screws back in place. Same thing with the one on the bottom. Plug in the power button, fingerprint scanner flex, add that little metal piece back on, snap the back onto the phone, and we're going to put this little tray back in, and we're going to start putting clamps, assuming that your screen is flat like it is right now. I recommend 3 to 5 clamps on each side, though I normally go with 3. Then we're going to let this sit for about 2 hours, the longer the better, and pretty much what we're going to do is remove these clamps and clean up the adhesive around the edges. There's going to be some glue, all you can do is just wipe it off, it's pretty easy to come off. You don't need a razor blade or really anything to kind of cut through that, just a pick or your fingernail. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully this video helps you out. Socials are listed above. And as always, thanks for watching.